Theology Matters Live. Thanks for joining the program. That's my stinger. I gotta say it every time now.
Sure.
With me is Jay Kaisaw. Maybe I can
What's up?
put our names across here. Let's see. Hey, we're not nameless.
Here we go.
How you doing, Jay? Keeps from the Progressive Primitivist. His channel is linked. Please feel free to check it out. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm just,
Please.
studying, prepping for a wedding, just all the good stuff, How have you been?
Been doing well. I've been reaching out to some people about debates, and we'll probably talk about this. So, well, I really don't have a. Normally, I have either a video or PowerPoint or some sort of purpose to
Yeah.
the program, which will scare some of you. Like, hey, we're doing nothing for an hour. So we're just gonna chat about this channel, what's going on with Jake's channel, and we've had some debates in the
Absolutely.
past couple days. So,
Yeah, we want to get into everything. I mean, this is probably the most podcasty type video you've done on your channel, at least to my knowledge. I haven't dug
live
too deep into the archive. Oh, talking to your phone, Siri?
dictation.
Gotcha.
What do you mean you haven't dug into the archives? You've been posting the archives.
I've been posting the archives, but brother, you've got like 5 different channels that we've been pulling from to upload to this one kind of new unified channel. And so I've been I've dug deep, but like this is the first video that I've seen that I can remember that you've just kind of sat down with somebody and just kind of had a conversation on kind of a one of your theology type YouTube channel. So I think this is going to be cool. I'm excited for this, man.
Yeah.
We got lots of cool stuff to talk about.
So since I'm the host, I'll let you decide what we talk about.
Sure. I mean,
well, what are you gonna do first? There's a bunch
I
to
think
talk about.
we probably ought to talk channel updates just because, I mean, people have seen me a good bit on your channel now. I say a good bit. This is my 3rd appearance on your channel.
Third?
And yeah, 3rd, because I did
I
moderated,
Sorry.
then we did the review, and then now it's this one. And so,
Yeah,
so let's talk about kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, what are you on the Theology Matters? What's your role here?
My role? I mean, like, there's not really a name for it. I forget how you and I first met. Like, I guess that's probably important to the conversation.
I think, was it TikTok?
I think TikTok was the big thing that, like, I've seen your stuff before. Like,
Really?
Oh yeah, I'd seen your stuff on Facebook and whatnot, but hadn't really interacted much. And then once I hopped on TikTok, because I knew you were over there, I either hopped on one of your lives or I followed you or something, and then we just started messaging back and forth a little bit, and then that led to us hopping on each other's lives occasionally. And then you were talking about your new YouTube channel, this one, Theology Matters, and kind of stuff that you were wanting to do with it, and kind of wanting to upgrade some of the thumbnails and editing and different things like that. And so we've been kind of slowly but surely helping each other out with that stuff, just kind of trying to build this channel into something bigger than what you've had in the past. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it all started. And now that's kind of what my role is. I've just kind of been helping you out with that kind of stuff.
But, who knows? I may throw you under the bus. Hint, hint. On a Thursday next month when I'm out of town, and I'll be like, "Hey, you want to host the show?"
Oh my goodness.
But
Maybe.
yeah,
Maybe. No,
but
but yeah,
as these are unscripted, well, I guess my short videos are unscripted, but my lives are definitely unscripted. It's
for sure.
kind of whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah, and so what kind of, or I guess what made you want to start this YouTube channel? Because I mean, like you've been on Facebook, you've been on YouTube for a bit now, and you've had different YouTube channels. And so what was the reason why you wanted to create this channel, and you're wanting to put so much energy into this new channel as opposed to like reforming another channel that you had?
Well, on this channel, so just a little backstory on the host here. Uh, I don't have a secular job. I have cerebral palsy, and so I have no way to really make a means. And so it was a couple of things. One, I wanted all my debates and theological videos. They're all theological, but you
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? The contending for the faith. I wanted that to be on one channel instead of kind of being spread out between Facebook,
For
YouTube,
sure.
TikTok. Although I don't know if I'm still deciding whether or not I want to post some of those response videos just because it's vertical and it's kind of not the format here on TikTok or YouTube. But the second reason is I think I have something to offer people here
Mm-hmm.
to where this could become bigger than me potentially one day, and uh, who knows? I would be able to support myself off of this channel, and so that was a rambly answer.
No,
Did,
it wasn't.
did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think so. You did. Um, I appreciate what you're doing on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube as well, just because I feel as if, um, in general, we've approached ministry and some of these theological discussions and things like that in a way that I feel as if it's kind of everyone's just kind of appealed to their preacher to do different things like that. And so what I appreciate about you and your ministry on here is just that, I mean, to my knowledge, you have no theological training in terms of going to a preacher school, anything like that. You're just uh, a guy who is interested in the Bible. You've studied the Bible, you're digging into God's word, and you're just trying to show people uh, what you found in God's word. And you're trying to engage with people who disagree with you, engage people that we believe are lost, engage with people that we believe need Christ. And so I just really appreciate that about your channel, and also just that your channels and your presence on the internet has been kind of mixed in that I know you do your Christian edification ministries, uh, or that's a little different than like this kind of content, where in this
Yeah,
content it's uh, you know, more direct, more towards the text of scripture, engaging with people, discussing, arguing, that type of
yeah,
stuff. And the other is just a slightly different. So I like that about you, CJ. And so I'm excited about um, this YouTube channel because I think you do have a lot to say, and I think you're a sharp guy, and I think that uh, when people engage with your content and listen, I think I think they'll just see just how much you have to say, and yeah, and so I'm excited about this channel.
Yeah, I'm excited about going forward. So last week, what was interesting last week, I reviewed a member of the Church of Christ who has left the church. What was Dallas Wade the guy you were thinking of?
Or repeat that last bit, like
The atheist that left the Church of Christ.
yes, that's the guy that I was thinking of. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Dallas Wade, or I mean, do you want to kind of talk a bit about him?
Well, Dallas Wade is a former. Well, I don't know how to say. I guess he's
He's a
not
brother that's left the faith. Yeah, he's a
what?
brother that's left. He's a brother that's left the faith. He was
Yeah,
baptized into
yeah,
Christ, and since he's rejected the faith, and claims to be an atheist now, and he has his own YouTube channel just called his name,
Dallas Wade. Yeah.
Dallas Wade.
Uh,
Yeah, and so you responded to his stuff on Hell and all, which is interesting.
yeah. Did you get to watch any of that?
I watched a little bit of it. I had seen his video before about hell and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
or what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say that the way I found him was I was actually trying to get an email from Trey because Trey Fisher had blocked me on Facebook, and then I messaged him in one of his comments saying, "Do you want to do a discussion?" He said yes, but then he hasn't responded. I said, "Hey, want to do it next week?" And he hasn't responded. Long story short, see, I get sidetracked.
Yeah, it's all
I,
good.
I was trying to find Trey before when he was a member of the church, when he was associated with the Churches of Christ. I wanted to find one of his sermons just to see how he was, and I found Dallas, an atheist. I don't know how YouTube works. I was researching a member of the church, and I got an atheist. So I started watching his videos, and I thought, well, this is interesting.
No, I think Dallas is an interesting guy. I haven't watched too much of his content. He responded to one brother. I forget what the guy's name is. He's done some work with GBN and whatnot.
Aaron?
He was pretty antagonistic. Not Aaron. I forget. It's one of his most recent videos. He hasn't posted in a year. He's at the North Hamilton Church of Christ, if that gives people any indication as to who it is. But his name isn't on the YouTube thing. So that's anyway. But I feel as if you just have different types of atheists that you encounter on the internet. And Dallas is an interesting guy because I feel as if he's a little he's more angry than he is your typical. I say more angry than a typical atheist. I feel as if his atheism stems from a more emotional place, a place of anger, as opposed to and that's not to belittle him. That's not what I'm trying to do. But my point is, he hasn't engaged too much with actual arguments, from what I can tell, and so it's just interesting.
Well, I was telling you before we started the program, he's actually subscribed to my channel, and
then you're gonna get a response video, man.
I think I am.
I think so.
That way. Maybe this is selfish of me, but that's gonna bring some eyeballs to my channel, I think.
No, I get it.
And so we'll just respond back and forth.
What is it? You mentioned messaging Trey Fisher though for a debate, and I've done that too. I tried to find a sermon from Trey Fisher. For those of you who just heard us say Trey, It's Trey Fisher. I've tried to find one of his old sermons on the Whites Ferry Road YouTube channel. I can't find anything. I don't know if they're on their website, like in their archive or whatever, but I can't find anything of his. And I think there's a reason why. I've heard some things, but I'm not gonna kind of air them out on the internet. But I think there's a reason why none of his stuff is out on there. But I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder if he is going to debate you, because I know you've been pushing for discussions with Trey and Jeremiah. You did a discussion with Jeremiah, who my dad debated. I guess we'll talk about that at some point. But Trey is kind of like the big fish. I think Trey is not nearly as sophisticated or knowledgeable in Scripture. And I don't mean that as a knock to him. That's just the long and the short of it. And so Jeremiah, he's a more engaging person, but Trey is the more bombastic kind of personality. And so a debate with him would be pretty impactful for your channel, I think.
I think it would be too. And I'm trying with you, if you notice, I've done Alan Parr, I've done stuff on Dallas Wade. I don't try and go after the nobodies that nobody listens to. I try and go for the big fish. Because if I go for the nobodies, that's just pointless. Nobody's being influenced by them anyways. And so Trey is one of those who I would like to debate. I think we would need a moderator, just the way
I think you'd be just fine, one-on-one.
He's just the way he is. I feel like he's more sarcastic than Jeremiah.
No, he's a serious debater. Which also my dad challenged him to debate a long time ago.
Did he turn me down?
He was trying to debate Trey before Jeremiah. He really didn't want Jeremiah, because Jeremiah at that point was nobody. He debated a brother on, and with all respect to the brother, a very stupid proposition about, just word salad. But that was all Jeremiah was to Churches of Christ until more people, and he interacted with Trey Fisher a bit. That's how he got known. But Trey is the big fish. Maybe that'll be clipped. But he's the big fish. Dad wanted to debate him, and he was like, "No, I've got these debates with Aaron." And so that's how Dad debated Jeremiah. But point being, Trey seems to slip and slide actual discussions. I think. And I guess we can kind of talk about this in view of the debate that you're wanting to have with him, which I think that would be a good debate. I think. What is this? Is this?
By the way, just so you guys see the conversation, under one of his videos, I think it's Sabbath keeping. Hi, I have a program called Theology Matters on YouTube, and I was wondering if Trey would like to come on and have an open discussion about water baptism. I believe it is essential for justification before God. I do my program every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I would be glad to come. I would also be glad to come on your channel. Give him a bone. And then we have this anytime. I'm all for it. And then I give him a date. Does that work? And where is the answer? And then a day ago, I say, have you considered coming on my program for water baptism debate next Thursday night? That was last night, and we got some crickets. So Trey says anytime, and then I try and set up a date with him, and I get crickets. I don't know. Maybe he's just busy, but what's weird to me, in the same thread, he is responding to other people.
Yeah,
He's
I mean that's just Trey. I mean he's I mean I don't know what more you can say about Trey. I'm not just trying to bash him, but just like in my interactions with Trey, he's just been ridiculous. I mean, like at this point, I truly, well, I won't get into that, but who knows, man? If you got Trey to debate you, which I know you've also got another guy in the pipeline that you're wanting to debate.
That one's even more so. But
do you even want to say his name, or do you want to keep that kind of under wraps for the people to wait for?
well, right now we got 0 people watching, so
Oh, those
it's
watching the replay though later.
yeah, it's the slick man himself,
The slick man himself.
Matt Slick.
Mm-hmm.
He is really big. Uh, you
I mean,
know,
he's bigger than Trey and Jeremiah together.
yeah. And I have emails from him saying, sure, I'll debate. And guess what happened?
What?
I got Marlon to set up a time, and I said, I'm gonna ask, I'm gonna ask Matt Slick, and he, so I asked him, and I'm like, does this time work? And I've gotten the same thing I've gotten from Trey. Crickets. See,
From Marlon?
no, from
Matt?
Slick. Matt
Gotcha.
Slick. So I don't know what it is with these guys. They say they're going to debate. I go through all the trouble in setting up a date. I ask them if the date works, and I get nothing.
Matt Slick's scared and Trey Fisher's scared. Simple as that. Like, I feel like these guys, especially Trey, you know, he's very red pill, rah rah, be a man, Jordan Peterson type of guy. And
Yeah.
you quote, I think it's Theodore Roosevelt's poem or whatever he had talking about being a man in the arena. You want to be a man in the arena. You want to be a man that like stands 10 toes down and does something. Well, when it comes, when rubber meets the road, neither of them's doing anything. And it's just crazy.
Where are those guys?
I know.
Yeah.
What is it? Or what were you going to say?
So let's go back to Jeremiah. Your dad actually had a debate with Jeremiah, didn't he?
My dad did have a debate with Jeremiah. That was back in April of this past year, which that was a whole ordeal trying to get that thing scheduled and set up. Basically, I mean, like starting back, I mean, like again, this right when the whole Church of Christ is a cult thing kind of happened. My dad reached out to Trey Fisher, had a whole Zoom call, that kind of thing, and then I mean, Trey dodges the debate, says, "Oh, you ought to talk to Jeremiah." Jeremiah friends him like in the same phone call as it's all going on, and so that's interesting. And then eventually things get set up, and so the debate is on, but it's scheduled for October. But also the location's being discussed. I mean, like There were discussions about having it here in Dallas, which we partially wanted. I mean, really, I think what both my dad and I wanted, we wanted it there in his hometown with his people.
And would that be in Meadowview?
Yeah, that would have been at the Meadowview Church of Christ here in Dallas. Yeah, so we wanted it here at first, but then there were just some interesting requests if we were going to have it here. And so my dad and I were just like, no, we'll just take whatever monetary fee we need to take on and drive over to Jonesboro, be in your backyard, have no one around there, and just do the thing. Which, an interesting thing about the debate, and I'm kind of giving y'all all the exclusives about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty, I mean, it's a baptism debate. Jeremiah's largest video on his YouTube channel is his video debating Brock Kendall on baptism. Largest video on his YouTube channel. So meaning this debate would have been big for his YouTube channel. Would you believe me if I told you that they did not advertise the debate in their community?
No. Wow.
Yeah, it was a live in-person debate, and they didn't advertise it at all in the community. They didn't invite other churches to come. They didn't put out advertisements, do much work on Facebook advertising it. I mean, really, we did a lot of work advertising it on our end, but also if you're the host of the debate, you have the obligation to do the majority of the advertising, and they did no advertising. And so when we got there, there were 2 members of the church there, me and my dad, and then there were 2 other members of the church there who we knew. They follow us on Facebook, and they were from Meadowview, but they moved out there to retire. So they were there. And then one of our elders and his wife drove up there to see us. And so the 6 members of the church that were there were just there because they had direct contact with us, because they were from our area. I mean, they're basically members of our church that came up. The 4 people that came up with us were members of our church.
Wow.
Or our congregation. But no, they didn't advertise it at all in the area.
That's wild.
I think
was
it's a
there?
little shady, personally.
Well, was there a good turnout nonetheless, or
Not really. I mean, like there probably wasn't more than 20 some odd people in the building. The majority of them were from his church.
what?
And the thing is, like Jonesboro, Arkansas is a hotbed for churches of Christ. Like Arkansas in general is a hotbed for churches of Christ. And like no one showed up. And so, which I think part of that is also just because, one, I think members of the church need to step up a bit, just in general. Like, and especially like, well, I won't get into that too much. But yeah, no one came out to the debate, in part because they just didn't advertise it. And like that was just shocking to me. And I think I know why, because Jeremiah was very clearly out of his depth the whole debate. Like rhetorically, Jeremiah, and I don't mean to just talk on. Well, I'll just end it right there. Well,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm interested in the rest of the sentence.
Yeah, well, I mean, rhetorically, I think Jeremiah is a really skilled debater. I mean, he very clearly has the ability to kind of give these one-liners that are cute. And I mean, he had his big thing at the end of the debate where, well, in the cross-X, he asked my dad, can you refer to your salvation without using the word I? And my dad said, well, I'm sure if I thought about it long enough, I think I could find a way to do it. And then he challenged Jeremiah, can you do that? And then Jeremiah was like, oh, you really want me to do that? And right at that point, I'm sitting in the audience, Dad's up on stage. I'm like, this is his big moment. Because Jeremiah was like, I figured that he'd try to clip it, make it into a reel, because he'd done some other things like that, being very uncharitable to other people in churches of Christ. But I figured this was going to be his moment. And then at the very end, of course, it is. I mean, his whole conclusion, he starts off with, I give a tithe of all of XY's, he's quoting
Luke 18, right?
yeah, Luke 18. Yeah, sorry. He's quoting Luke 18, trying to make the point that, my dad is relying upon his own works, et cetera, et cetera. And like, so the point that I was getting at with all that, way off topic, was that rhetorically, Jeremiah is very skilled. But when it comes to actually dealing with the text, he's not skilled at all.
Yeah.
Like he's a bad exegete.
This
Like
wretched sinner was saved by God to the uttermost.
to the uttermost.
Yeah.
And he had to get a little emotional at the very end with it.
And then I can, I'd like to reply, this wretched sinner was saved through the uttermost through baptism.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's ultimately when we did our review. That's what we talked about, because like, again, like that's a rhetorical argument. That is in no way a textual argument.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah knew that. Jeremiah's not a dumb person. He's just a skilled debater. Simple as that.
So if Jeremiah is such a skilled debater, why do you think he's very selective on who he debates? Because I've challenged Jeremiah multiple times and he's backed down. Travis Thomas has challenged him and he's backed down. But you have people like A.K. Richardson and then your dad, who are very good thinkers. And Jeremiah seems to jump at those opportunities. But I feel like it would be easier for him to jump on the less known people.
And that's true, which in a live stream he talked about doing something like that. Or his big thing that in a live stream he talked about was creating strife within churches of Christ. I mean, there was a big thing in my dad's debate where Jeremiah asked him if he thought that Mark 16:16 was inspired or not. And dad said no, because of my dad's view of textual criticism, specifically with that portion of Mark 16, which that's a whole nother topic, whole nother bag of worms that we could get into at some other point, maybe. But in his review of that, he said that he intentionally did that to divide the audience, to make people say, oh, well, Mike's not my flavor of Church of Christ, or whatever that's supposed to mean.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just ultimately kind of where he's going. He's done debates with AK and my dad, and I know he talked about doing a debate with one brother, who I'd classify not, or I shouldn't necessarily say that, but he's being weird with his picks of who he's going to debate and who he's not going to debate. I'd probably leave it at that for my own personal comments about that. But it's very clear that he's picking his opponents in a way to drive a wedge between members of Churches of Christ.
Yeah. I mean, he's growing. He's got a good following. I think he's becoming known for the Church of Christ Exile group that he has, which is just terrible. It's horrible that he's flaunting that, and usually it's one thing to disagree with doctrine. It's a whole nother thing to have ex-members rallying against us. Wouldn't you agree? And the people he picks are, when you talk to them, I mean, it's just, when you hear their interviews, it's just shady at best.
I mean,
the people he picks to talk to that supposedly left the church.
Yeah, which some of them I don't know if I've ever gotten the shady vibe per se with some of them. I think he's picked which interviews he thinks are going to cast a bad light onto Churches of Christ the most. And I say that, we have to remember that Churches of Christ are autonomous, meaning
And
we have no overseeing body. We are under the authority of God, and under that, the eldership of the local church. Um,
yeah,
and so, with that, of course, you are going to have members of the church who do terrible things. I know of a situation where a Church of Christ, um, they withdrew fellowship from a set of parents who had a homosexual son. And that is wrong. That is sinful behavior. That eldership is going to be judged for how they did that because they withdrew from the whole family and not just the son or anything like that. Like that's wrong.
well, was there a context to it? Were they like accepting it or something?
No, they weren't accepting of it at all. Like they are very, aside from their,
That's,
since being withdrawn from, they've kind of gone in a different direction religiously speaking. But no,
that's
but in the main, I mean, they're conservative individuals, and so they would not approve of that kind of behavior. But my point in saying all that is just to say that there are Churches of Christ that do, not everyone who says Lord, Lord, Matthew 7:21, very true. But there are like churches that do bad things. And so in that, when you cherry pick stories from bad encounters with
yeah,
unqualified elders or even qualified elders who do bad things, like you're not approaching the whole system in its best light. You are
right.
you are challenging the system based on these obscure, weird stories. And here's the thing: if we wanted to do that against Calvinists or in those churches, we could very easily talk to members like atheists who were former Calvinists or Arminians who were former Calvinists, a part of Calvinistic churches, Reformed churches. And we
Yep.
could list several abuse stories from that. And I mean, I think of one, I believe, who is it? Mark Driscoll. Like he's if I'm not mistaken, he's Reformed. And you had the whole mess about him and his church, Mars Hill, about how he was abusive to his staff, about how he was manipulating people. I mean, like, again, I don't look to Mark Driscoll and say, oh, yes, this is true of all Reformed people. No, what
Right.
I do is I look at Calvinism at its best, Reformed churches at their best, and I assess that.
Yeah.
And so in the same way, if we're honestly assessing a system such as Churches of Christ, then what we need to do, or I say Churches of Christ, biblical New Testament Christianity, then we need to look at it at its best, not in situations where it's fringe at their worst. Do you know what I
And
mean?
I think it's purposeful. You know, on their part, they want it to look bad and look at all those divisions. Another common tactic is questioning individuals over, uh, well, do you believe you can have one cup or many cups? Do you believe you can eat in the building or not eat in the building? Uh, just to make the schism seem silly, you know, the churches of Christ put on this facade of being united, but really they're divided. And they don't understand secondary issues. Now,
No,
I have my thoughts on all of that, but that doesn't dismiss the whole system.
exactly. And like the thing is, again, like to the point about secondary issues, there are tons of divides within Reformed churches and things like that. That do hinder their own fellowship. I mean, like we could get into all that, but I think the point just stands that with going back to the Church of Christ Exiles point, I mean, what they're doing is they're intentionally trying to sow seeds of doubt in the minds of those who are within churches of Christ to make them feel as if they're actually in a cult, which I guess now like would be a good time to talk about the whole concept of us being in a cult. Like that is I hate that so much. Like whenever they
Look,
say, "Oh, you're a part of a cult." You know what I
uh,
mean?
I'm sorry, I'm going to shameless plug here. If you haven't gone back and watched this video, it's kind of similar to what we're going to get into. I review a video that has 5,000 views. See, again, I'm
Five
reviewing.
hundred thousand, 500,000.
Oh, that makes a difference.
That
But
does make a difference.
500,000, 500,000. So again, I'm going after the big dogs. I'm not going after the weaklings and the people who don't represent these movements. But what were we about?
We're talking about
We,
Churches of Christ being a cult and just kind of the language of cult.
oh yeah.
I I
Well,
just think in general, or go. What were you saying?
you know when you think of cult, people think of here's what people think of, and here's what the reform guys mean. The reform guys mean that they're unorthodox. That's what they mean. But to
Mm-hmm.
everybody else, it is drinking the voodoo, dancing around a statue, aimlessly bowing down to somebody, cutting themselves, mindless devotion meetings, and, and there is a Church of Christ that is that. That is a cult, right? It's called the International Church of Christ.
Yes, which
That,
they've since, which I this is just to my knowledge, things have seemed to change within the International Church of Christ. I don't believe they're nearly as crazy as what they once were, but like in the 80s and 90s and really early 2000s, I mean they were bad. I mean like, what was I going to say? Like there was one account. Basically, the whole movement is an evangelistic movement and a discipleship movement. And so, in order to be discipled, you had a discipler who would help guide you and lead you. And there's one account of a discipler telling his disciple, "Hey, you need to get serious about your sin. You need to cut it off." And apparently, it had something to do with her arm or her eye or something. I forget what it is. Or I think it was her arm. And they made a hospital visit, and she didn't know why they were there. And she leaned over to him and said, "Is it time for the surgery?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "To get my arm cut off." Um, and the point in bringing that up is that was not just kind of a unique instance of aggressive, or well, let me backtrack a bit. That gives you a little insight onto what the mindset of this movement was, in
yeah.
that you trusted your discipler with all your heart no matter what. Like they were your connection to God. If they told you to cut off your arm, you do that, which makes us think back to Waco back in the 19 whatever, when David Koresh was basically taking all these wives for himself from some of his men. In addition to that, it gives you an insight into what the mindset was of those within the International Churches of Christ. And again, that wasn't unique. That was just kind of how things were. They were an aggressive movement. 1993 is when that happened. Thank you, Sean.
Sean asked a question.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Those folks that left the Church of Christ, are those folks examining themselves, or are they wanting to blame someone for their own wrongdoing to justify their actions? Well, with a lot of it, I do see the blame, you know, but I guess to each, Sean, you can't really say why they left, as, apart from what they tell you.
Yeah, it's a case-by-case basis, and you don't want to make over generalizations. But from what I've seen from some of the interviews, I'd say some of it definitely is shifting blame to justify what they want to do. But also, I think some of it is genuine genuine change in their mind, which happens. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, Jake, you're in the chat. Oh, wait.
Oh, hi.
Mike.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Hey, Mike. We're going to have to get you on here. You know, just to plug, I think the next time me and Jake will be together is with Mike on his channel, right? Is that what
yes,
we're doing?
I think we're going to do something reviewing Jeremiah and Trey's most recent debate with two brothers. I forget their names. But they recently did a debate, and I thought my dad and I both thought that it was a very interesting debate, and I think it revealed a lot of issues within Trey and Jeremiah's system of belief within Calvinism, specifically with issues like the conversion of Cornelius and the conversion of the Apostle Paul. Just kind of the implications of that as it pertains to the story of Cornelius. And so, yeah.
To be fair, I think already those brothers were going uphill in the way that they were
the proposition.
The proposition that they did good hammering Cornelius, but their position made it so easy for Trey and Jeremiah just to cut it down.
Going back to Jeremiah's first debate that we kind of briefly mentioned, here's something that I've learned from this whole thing. Do not make your debate proposition overly complicated. Do you know what I mean? Just keep it simple, which I guess this we could take this to talking about my debate in the future at some point. Both debate propositions. Yeah. But with debate propositions, just keep them simple. Like don't overcomplicate them with I can't even remember the first debate proposition that Jeremiah had, but it was just a mess. And I felt as if these brothers did not do themselves a favor by picking the debate proposition that they did. So that's just kind of my 2 cents about that.
Good evening, Anna.
Good evening.
You said something interesting. Your future debate Do you have anything nailed down for us?
Not yet. So, Tanner messaged me the other day. I haven't responded to it because it's been busy. Because in addition to this, in addition to the debate, we've been doing a lot on the progressive primitivist, which we can talk about later. Some stuff that was just recently aired regarding non-institutional issues and things like that. But it's just been busy couple weeks with that, with wedding planning, and with just local work, just trying to get things solidified with my kids. I'm a youth minister, for those of you who don't know, and so just teaching Bible class, preaching some, that kind of stuff, and then just the the things that come with local work, the highs and the lows. That's been been a lot, but what did Sean say? And by the way, I sincerely apologize. Hello, brother CJ. And I don't know why you're apologizing, man. I didn't. We're all good, brother.
What'd you do, bro?
Yeah, we're all good, man. But yeah, so I've been trying to schedule a debate with Tanner, your former opponent, on the topic of baptism. So I think initially we were in a group chat together, and he was just saying, good job on the debate. It was the night that you debated him. And he was just saying, good job to you, saying good job for moderating. And he said, by the way, Jake, if you ever want to debate me, hit me up. Except for water baptism. I don't want to do water baptism debate.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I told him, like, well, I've been thinking about doing a baptism debate, but I just haven't, like, I want to do a baptism debate. Haven't found an opponent yet. And then that kind of got brought up in another live stream that happened a while ago on Desmond's YouTube channel. And then it led to us messaging about it a bit because he felt called out whenever I told him, well, why don't you just debate me on water baptism? He dodged the debate.
That was 2 weeks ago, right?
It was, yeah, however long ago it was.
When you were here last time.
Yeah, and so then I tried to pick a different proposition. I just said, why don't we just debate Acts 2? Because when you think about a baptism debate, you think about what's the most simple text, what is the text everyone argues about, and it's Acts chapter 2. And he's like, no, CJ, I want to debate Acts chapter 10. And it's like, okay,
you can't affirm anything.
Exactly. Like I'm wanting to affirm. I apologize for. Oh, he said Sean saying I apologize for not greeting y'all, but I was just interested in hearing this, but caught it at the end. Oh, it's all good, man. You're
Yeah, hey, our chat has kind of exploded tonight.
Yeah, we got 3 people in here, which is good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
By the way, shameless. My goal for the channel is by 2024.
2025.
Yeah, Jake, it's 2023 right now. By 2025, I want to have 100 subscribers. We're at 41 right now, so I need 59 more people. I think
that's doable.
I think so. So that means I need y'all's help. Share it, like it, bring it far and wide. But anyways, you were saying something.
Oh, just talking about the debate proposition. So he's wanting to debate Acts chapter 10. And I'm like, okay, I know why you want to debate Acts chapter 10. It's because you think that Acts chapter 10 destroys my view of baptism. And I'm not afraid of talking about Acts chapter 10. The issue is, I don't think that you can substantively have a debate over baptism from Acts chapter 10 without also bringing in Acts chapter 2. And so then here I am left trying to bolster both texts, trying to show that, okay, Acts chapter 2 is relevant to Acts chapter 10. And so I'm left exegeting two texts while he's, only having to focus on Acts chapter 10 and cast as much doubt on my position as possible. And so there's kind of that element of it. Oh, sorry, I saw a comment. We could talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just thought it was a bit of a mess, and it would be easiest if we don't want to do an Acts 2 debate, then just make it a broad baptism debate. Whatever you want to do with it. And I was like, you haven't done too many baptism debates. I think he's only done 3, which is less than Jeremiah Nortier. And so it's like, why not just do one with me? And so he was opposed to that in a group chat that you threw me in. He threw me into a den of lions. It's all good. But yeah, so he didn't want to do it there. And so then he messaged me the other day talking about wanting to do Acts chapter 10. And I'm just not interested in doing an Acts 10 debate, just solely Acts 10. I want a full-blown baptism debate.
And you know what he wants to do, right?
Exactly.
He's gonna, if you say it's a debate propositioning, Acts chapter 10 proves that water baptism is essential for your salvation. If you do that, and then you try and establish the purpose of water baptism in Acts chapter 2, what's he going to say? Well, see, now Jake has to run outside of the text. I can stay right here. Jake has to run.
Exactly.
That's what he wants to do. I mean, it's pretty obvious. That's the same exact thing he did to me in Romans. Romans chapter 10. He was complaining that I was defining terms from Romans chapter 6.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just that it's a debate tactic, which, don't get me wrong, we all have our debate tactics. I have my debate tactics. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But it's just like, just if you don't want to do a water baptism debate, then man, just be upfront and honest. I say be upfront and honest with me. He said he didn't want to do one to begin with, but then don't try and him and haw and try to do all this. I want a baptism debate. So I guess this is my public response to Tanner from the message. It's either a water baptism debate, full blown, Acts 2 debate, or nothing else. That is my final counter offer, unless you have a completely different topic that you would like to debate. Because I'm just not interested in kind of doing the back and forth over this thing. And so, yeah.
I'm looking for sure opponent, guys. I have 2 maybes from Trey and Matt
They're not
Slick.
Jeremiah. Yeah.
Matt Slick. Jeremiah said no. But yeah. So let's talk about what happened. We don't need to rehash the debate, but me and Tanner had a debate recently, didn't we?
You did.
That was interesting. Without rehashing 2 weeks ago, what do you think? What did you think about that debate?
I thought it was a good debate. I like you said, don't want to rehash 2 weeks ago, but I thought it was a good debate. I thought because you wanted to debate him on water baptism, and that's why y'all debated that, right?
Yeah, that's the closest I could get.
Yeah, and so I think part of it is personally. This is a me thing. I think that discussions on calling on the name of the Lord can be not the best place to have these discussions. I think, well, just because I don't necessarily agree that calling on the name of the Lord is as closely tied to baptism, and I'm using it that way, as closely tied to baptism as what other people have debated it in the past. I mean, I would say calling on the name of the Lord is simply confessing Christ, at least just based on kind of what I've seen from the text. And I've mentioned Acts 9. I think Acts 9:14 last week about all that stuff, and so that's kind of my thing. But overall, the overall performance of the debate, I mean, I thought you did well. I think Tanner, whenever he felt uncomfortable digging into the actual text that y'all were supposed to talk about, he wanted to go off to the Old Testament. And so, I mean, I don't want to say too much about the way Tanner debates, because I want to keep some of those cards close to my chest for my possible debate if I have one with him.
Yeah.
But he very clearly had certain debate tactics, and he relied heavily on them whenever he was uncomfortable.
Yeah. I don't know. It was interesting. If you want my full thoughts and Jake's full thoughts, well, I guess I can't do this. But I was gonna say the YouTube card would pull up right now, but I didn't edit it.
Yeah.
We're live. I don't even know what's in my description. Is that in the description?
Or we can drop it in the comment section after the debate, or not after the debate, but after the live. No, but speaking of debates, though, I just want to kind of throw this in there. My dad is looking for a debate partner, which is interesting. Well, I won't say that. But he's wanting a debate as well. He got a taste of debate with Jeremiah, and now he's wanting more. And so just trying to finding an opponent for him has been tough, simply because I don't know what some of these guys have been doing online. Marlon and Donnie Badinsky. I know Donnie's been occupied with some other things in his life, and so that's been, that's understandable. But trying to find a debate opponent for my dad has been like pulling teeth. It's been a long time just trying to find one, and so I'm hoping we can get him to debate again, because I really think that the Jeremiah debate was devastating to Jeremiah in some pretty big ways. And it was my dad's first debate, and so rhetorically, there was some, there was just a wider gap, simply because, what am I saying? Because Jeremiah's had more debates than he has. I think he's had 11 debates, something like that.
Oh.
And that was my dad's first debate, and so, but in terms of dealing with the text, Jeremiah had nowhere to go, and so we're wanting to do more debates. We reached out to a couple people. Reached out to Mike Winger. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've reached out to him, and I got his secretary saying he's not doing debates anymore.
Yeah, we reached out to him and kind of framed it in a different way. We kind of framed it as a discussion, and he said that that his current year was filled up, and that to reach back out next year for a possible discussion. And so, because he also did a debate with a member of the church.
Yeah.
At this point, 3 years ago or so.
I saw that. That was a 4-hour debate.
That was crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I have my views about how that debate went, but it was interesting. But so I'm trying to get Dad to debate Mike Winger, or have a discussion with Mike Winger, because people prefer the term discussion. All sorts of things, man. But I'm hoping that we can get a debate soon for Dad.
I want more debates. I really would like to host some debates on the channel. Not that not that I want the channel to become just a debating platform, but I wouldn't mind hosting some debates. Well, what was I gonna say?
Well, you offered to host the debate with me and Tanner.
Tanner said no.
Yeah, because you're too
Uh,
biased.
I I was too biased, and then he said, you know, Desmond's not too biased, but I'm like,
It's
okay.
crazy.
So, by the way, I for those of you who have been sick of me doing Knights of God content, reviews of Desmond, uploading videos, old videos of Desmond, because I have a lot of this channel devoted to him. I finally blocked him. I moved on. So if you were sick of me being a one beat horse, I'm off my beat. Uh,
Yeah.
I will say this in terms of things that are actually coming up. Again, on Mondays, we are doing short videos. Uh, Salvation and security, a once saved, always saved rebuttal. That's where I take 5 to 7 minutes to explain a once saved, always saved proof text. And and I'm not necessarily affirming my position. I'm showing how those texts don't do the work of their position. They don't prove that you can fall away. And so I've done last week John 6:39 and 40. This week I'll probably do John 10:28, 29. That's a big one. But look for those on Monday afternoons, 3 p.m. I'll probably try and do a lot of the proof text. And then, of course, these programs on Thursday. Sadly, I ran out of substantive material from my past, so we are down to the live show and whatever I can come up with during the week. And possibly I'll see if my AI generator will generate some shorts from this live stream. I want to get back into shorts.
Yeah,
But
which I mean, or here, I just wanted to respond to this comment real quick, and then I wanted to ask you a question. Uh, Anna Lee said, "Jake, did you say you were working with non-institutional groups or discussions?" So right now, what I was saying with that is specifically a brother in Christ, Caleb Robertson. He does a series on his YouTube channel. What does the Bible say? Called Candid Christian, where he interviews different members of Churches of Christ, and he's done a 3-part series of kind of spanning views within Churches of Christ. And so he's interviewed Rubel Shelley, which he would classify as the left, Alan Hires, which he'd classify as the middle, and then tonight, which is airing later on, is his interview with Stephen Wolfgang, or Steve Wolfgang, um, which he would classify as the far right. He would classify as the far right or non-institutional group is what that would be classified as. And so he reached out to me just because we're friends and we'd interacted some about some of the restoration history stuff that we both like and things like that. And he sent me footage from a 1990 meeting from Dallas, Texas, and it was a unity meeting between non-institutional Churches of Christ and institutional Churches of Christ. And so the goal of the discussion was just to have a dialogue between these two groups that had split in the 1950s and trying to find a way to reconcile some of the issues that had happened and to find a way to be united again. And so That's what I meant by working with non-institutional things. I've been editing the footage from that meeting, and actually the first episode is live right now on the YouTube channel. Y'all can watch it after we're done talking.
Yeah,
Had to just sprinkle that in there. Yeah,
the,
don't leave the live. Do not leave the live.
the 5-hour meeting.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it's longer, man. There's 5 hours for this one. Day 2, I just got the footage from Caleb. It's 4 hours, and so I'm gonna have to edit some of that. And then the third day, it's gonna be probably close to 4 hours. So it's a long meeting, man.
I'm feeling like you
13
should
hours or so.
split it up into chunks, but
Well, I mean, I say thankfully, what I've done is I've gone through and I've kind of done chapters in each thing. So you can go through and either spot check things that you want to watch, or you can say, okay, I'm going to watch these people's speeches on this day, and then kind of break it up that way. So you're not having to watch everything all at once. But the goal in just kind of putting it all like that, like day one's material in one video, was just to not separate the material too much to where it could all be viewed in the way it would have been viewed on that day, if that makes sense.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was what I was meaning, Anna. But
I actually have. Uh, I'm teaching a class, not on here, but on Christian Edification Ministries on establishing Bible authority. And one of the books that I was given was the Arlington
meeting.
meeting book. And so I come from a non-institutional background. See, I don't know all the lingo, but I hold some of those views. I just don't. I'm not as radical to say that I can't have fellowship with anybody who doesn't agree with me. But anyways, neither here nor there.
That's interesting. I don't think you and I had ever, like, you mentioned your non-institutional background, but I didn't. I don't think we talked about much of that. But what is this show? Mainline Churches of Christ and those with non-institutional beliefs can be united in fellowship.
That's right.
Virtual high five.
But hey, wait a minute, Jake. We can do this. You ready?
What are we about to do?
Oh no! Oh no! It's in the wrong brand.
Right here, you put your hand up. Other one.
Here we go. There we
What
go.
is this song?
What we could do? Oh yeah, that we gotta get a beat to our handshake. Ready?
I don't know.
I don't know
This
what.
has gone downhill. I don't know what this is.
I'm sorry. Well,
No, that was funny.
This needs to be a clip here.
Craziness.
But
Craziness.
anyways,
We've got 4 people in the chat. If you're tuning in, we're glad you're here. Stick around. We're just talking about debates, baptism, craziness, and different things going on with this YouTube channel and my YouTube channel.
So, what was your question for me before Anna's institution question?
So you mentioned, and this is going back to kind of my involvement with the YouTube channel. I've been, editing, making thumbnails, that kind of stuff. So you mentioned that on Monday you're releasing that video regarding a once saved, always saved proof text, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So do you want to talk a bit about some of the kind of different series that you're wanting to start on the channel? Because with that, they're going to notice kind of a different thumbnail from the typical thumbnails, which, we're working things out. If y'all don't like the thumbnails, leave a comment saying you don't like the thumbnails and you want us to kind of change it a bit, and we'll do our best to make it look decent. But you're wanting to start a series going through proof texts, right?
Right. So what I want to do with that series is not necessarily prove my case, but disprove theirs. So
Yeah.
it's a rebuttal. And a lot of people are going, a lot of people often comment, well, you didn't, you, you didn't prove anything. Well, that's not my objective with those videos. What I want to do with those shorter videos is go through different proof texts. Like it'll be once they do a say proof text, maybe Calvinistic proof text. Uh, I don't know. Maybe I'll sporadic them.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's not the same thing every week. But I want to do that for a while, and then I want to flip it and do short videos where I just give my position on once that a believer can fall, and just go through the context of various different texts, or just plucking Calvin's tulip. Uh,
Mm.
I'll be doing that on the video, and that so that's what I want to do. Um, on that Monday afternoon slot.
Gotcha. I think that would be a really good thing. I think, just in general, well, going back a bit, content for Churches of Christ on the internet, I feel like is difficult to navigate. In that, you've got some things trying to do too much. Like I think in some ways, all respect to GBN, I think sometimes their shows get a little too complicated. In that, like, I think they were going to start and I promise there's a point to this. They were going to start a live program with a host talking about kind of relative events, kind of like a news channel. And then it just kind of dove back into kind of what they used to do, just kind of a series of videos over, uh, you know, MDR, different things like that. Uh, does baptism save? Is the Church of Christ different? All that. And it wasn't a focus series. And so that's what I like about kind of what you're doing with this. It's a focus series. But with that, you have all these broad topics, but nothing too specific. And what I like about what you're doing with this proof text thing is if people are interested in specifically a proof text with like, I mean, what was the one that's going to be posted, the John 6 one? I mean, like, then you can go to your video, watch that, and it's answered just like that. And so I think that's going to be really beneficial for those people who are searching, who are trying to find answers, but they're having to weed through a bunch of like a much longer video on different things. Anyway,
Right.
I think that short form content is going to be very beneficial for study and for people searching.
Yeah.
And I think just in general, getting into specific series and not just kind of like a mismatch of everything is going to be really good for your channel.
Now, I don't know if it's my niche. I've been wanting to do verse by verse studies, but I don't know if that's really this channel. I'm trying to decide whether or not that's this channel. I don't think it is. What do you think? I've been mulling that idea over.
I mean, I think at some point you could if it was relevant. Um, but I think in the main, just kind of keeping this channel topical and specific to individual texts as opposed to like studying the book of Hebrews or, something like that. Um,
Right.
I think that would be better suited uh, for another channel as opposed to this channel. Like the specific topical and specific text studies, I think, are important for this one.
But as it relates to specific issues,
Yeah.
that's really what I want this channel to be. So that's what we got coming up. That's what we're doing. If you like to support the ministry, right now, what you can do is subscribe. You know, I didn't even think about this. I want to build support. I don't even have a way to do it yet. I'll get there.
Yeah.
But if you want to support the ministry, reach out to me personally. Right now, I'll probably set something up. But you can supporting the ministry is not just financial; it's liking, sharing,
Absolutely.
getting our message out there.
And
We're
part of that is also making it known when you like things and when you don't like things. So utilizing the comment section. So like if you want to see a specific thing that CJ does, you know, make sure you leave a comment and say, hey, I would like for you to make a video on this topic. And CJ will make a video on the topic if it pertains to this channel. I'm sorry if you want him to do a video on underwater basket weaving. He probably won't do that for this channel.
no.
No. But
Maybe I'll do a video on far out swimming illustrations. But
maybe. Well, point being, a way to support the channel is by letting your voice be heard. And so, write in the comments things that you want us to do. In fact, right now, we've got at least 2 people here. We kind of have 3. Write in the comment section right now one thing that you would like CJ to do, a video, a series idea, anything that you'd like to see. Leave that in the chat. But just in general, going back to what CJ was saying, share this with a friend. Post this on your Facebook if you'd like to, or in general, just be be supportive of the channel by liking and those things. That way, other people on YouTube will see this, and the algorithm will boost CJ's content. And so we want to make sure that CJ gets out there because he's a sharp guy, he's a faithful Christian, and I think lots of people will be benefited by your YouTube ministry, man.
Well, I don't want to just talk in circles. Did we have anything? Did we hit all of our bullet points?
I think in general, man, I think we've hit pretty much everything. Yeah, man.
I'm grateful for this ministry. Well, I guess we should give people time to put in their ideas. But yeah, so expect more short form content, shorts. I'll probably find a moment. Probably the Tanner call out will be a short. And so
The Tanner call out.
yeah. Didn't you call out Tanner in this video?
Oh, I did. You're making that into a video?
Yeah, I may ask you to short that. I don't know.
Sure, whatever you want to do, man.
Sure. See, look how obedient Jake is. You know, he's like, it's whatever. It's your channel. I wouldn't do it, but it's. So if you like this video, leave us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and before I say our catchphrase, anything else you want to say?
Subscribe to the Progressive Primitivist. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. TikTok, we're going to come back. We got a couple ideas coming. There's some views regarding faith and other things like that has been troubling some people. We're going to come out and we're going to respond to some of that at some point, hopefully on TikTok and on YouTube. But yeah, so follow us on those platforms. And that's all I got, CJ.
Well, remember, friends, theology does matter. Roll the non-existent outro. Bye-bye.